All right, log in, dude. We got eight fences. Eight fences on this list that we're gonna go through. We're gonna go through pros and cons, and I'm realizing the tier list maker I'm using. Those are tiny. You're just gonna have to take my word that these are what they are. First, we're gonna start with wood fences. Um, Obviously, this is like a classic, just a classic design. Price range could be fairly low or high, depending on the type of wood you use. Um, Also, like I mean, in terms of protection, it's decent. Like I'd say like a 7 on the protection scale, depending on like right. So like this here, this is the picture I'm using. This fence, that's like a protective fence. Decent bit of privacy too, which is also great. So I think wood fences, solid A tier. Solid A tier. Okay, next we're gonna talk about picket fences, which picket fence is like it's a classic like grandma fence. When I think about picket fence, I think of like garden, you know. Uh they're relatively low maintenance, not a whole lot for protection, but they are very decorative. Usually because the people that own them have a lot of free time and can make them look nice. Also super cheap. Um, the only thing about picket fences though is they're incredibly frail. I don't even know how many picket fences I've broken. Just purely because I'm uh, too heavy to lean on them. And because of that, I think picket fences are solid B tier fence. Not like super crazy good in any way. They're just like, they're there. They're classic. Okay, next we got wrought iron or metal fences. Okay, these things are, dude, they're sick. Like, if you see like a metal fence, especially with like stone or brick pillars, that just tells you someone's got money. They are drippy, super tough. Usually they got just the coolest designs. I remember growing up, was about 15 minutes away from like the one mansion in a 800-mile radius of me that like, I don't know, dude, that thing had like the coolest fences on it. Yeah, dude. But that's the thing though, is they're expensive. So like I can't afford one right now, so that's gonna knock them down a tier because I can't afford one. So they're going into A. I would do S just purely because how drippy they are, but like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Okay, next is split rail. This is like, I don't know, dude. This is like you ever go out west, like to Montana or like Wyoming, you just see these like everywhere. And it's like, dang, like, yeah, that dude owns cows, that dude's a farmer. I will say it does not stop people from jumping over the fence and throwing tennis balls at your cows. All right, up next is vinyl fences. These things are dumb. They are cheap. They're ridiculously basic. They also remind me of how, like, okay, so the other day, I was talking to my roommate about, like, how he was like, yeah, I get super dehydrated during the Doom movie, and I was like, well, yeah, because of the buckets of sand. And he was like, what do you mean the buckets of sand? And he's like, well, I was like, yeah, like when you get there, I was like, hey, I want a ticket to the Doom movie. And they gave me a bucket of sand. And he was like, I don't think an employee gave you that. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure there was someone that worked there because they told me they did. And he was like, well, why did you eat it? And I was like, well, I was hungry, first off. Not everyone, can say no to free food. Sorry. But yeah, it made my mouth incredibly dry, and I had worms for like dude, weeks. I had worms for like weeks after that. I was shitting worms out of my butt for weeks, dude. And because of that, vinyl fences are going into. Oh, I don't have an F tier. I forgot to put an. You know, we're just gonna keep them down here because they don't deserve to even go on here. They're terrible. Okay, next is something special. The composite privacy fence. Dude, these things are so sick, dude. Dude, like, okay, look at this. Look at like castle vibes, dude. Castle vibes, you know? Like, you can make them look like stone or wood, but they're just like a super heavy composite compound, so they're like really durable, super heavyweight, you know? Um, I've seen these things take some damage. Also privacy, you know? So like you can, you can eat eh, like the skin of cantaloupes in your backyard and not have to worry about like people judging you as they're walking by. Uh, which that or like if you're embarrassed because you like drinking gallons and gallons of Taco Bell milk like throughout your day, that's like I don't know if that's some people have an issue with that. I don't. Uh, some people might. Some people might. Um, because of that though, yeah, these bad boys should go into S, dude. All right, next is the chain link fence. This is like the classic of classics, dude. Like, I mean, everyone, like, if you knew anyone that had a dog, schools, sports fields, the Wendy's that's 10 minutes away from my house that put up a fence because I kept trying to break in and steal square beef patties that they serve with the Baconator, and they were like, "Hey, you can't do that," and I was like, "I just really need these. I'm going through a lot right now. I'll pay for them," and they were like, "No, you have to buy the whole sandwich," and I was like, "I'm not doing that. I need square beef patties," and then I don't know. It was like a whole thing. They had to put a fence up. The only difference is that theirs has barbed wire on it because I couldn't. They realized I was climbing over. We don't got to get into the specifics of that, but chain link fences are classic. They're everywhere, memorable. You know, they're great at keeping things out. You put some wire on top of these bad boys, and like I don't know, dude. They're resilient, and for that, they are going straight into S tier. The last one we have is specialty fences. Now, when I think of specialty fences, I'm not talking about like pool stuff or like dog fan. No, I'm talking about electric and barbed wire fences. Specifically, the ones you see at farms that like have hurt you a lot because you try climbing over them. Like, tearing a pair of pants in half on a barbed wire fence, or like, thinking that whoever is holding the electric fence down is gonna keep holding it down as you're stepping over and they let go of it and it hits you, and then you end up laying in the grass for 10 minutes because you can't breathe. And that's all I got though. That's that's the list.